So, what are these biases from the biosphere? One of the most, it seems one of the most destructive bias is this alpha predator male agency. Alpha predator male agency is one whose main interests are sex, sadism, and oppressive control, granted through mass oppressive control memories, of which can be abbreviated as OCM. Uh, uh, Territory, positions and dominance hierarchies, and eventual possessions and money. These oppressive control memories are memories that have been made by one or a group of animals through oppression into another animal or group of animals to control those animals. So think of a buck fighting with another buck for a mate or territory. They are trying to beat into each other, just beating each other up to try and form this control memory in the other on the other one. Just got to beat them up until they believe that you own this. Basically, this is my uh, mate. This is my territory. It's and that's how they have to get those control memories. Otherwise, they won't replicate. They won't get the resources they need, and they won't get the mates they need, and they don't. That's not what's selected for is the guy that can beat the thing system up the best, the buck that can beat it up the best. Excuse me, and and get the control memories. That's what it's about. Life has evolved to be ferocious and beating to get the control memories to replicate. But it's also got this other side, which we'll get into, this familial side later. So, and it's not just with territory and mates. It's also for example, using oppression to get money, because money is a kind of control memory. It controls goods and services, and how this money we have now is a kind of oppressive money. It's patriarchal money. It's a debt money, and uh, you know it's just what's naturally selected for. This gets more money. This kind of money gets you more money, more control memories. So it's going to be naturally selected for. That's what these agencies are about. Is getting the alpha male agency is all about acquiring more oppressive control memories, and this kind of money gets more money. Instead of, I would say, the future would be positive money, where it's not loaned out, it's given out, and it's given out, and the return is not more money, more oppressive control memories, but it's health upticks. It's more of this, and this not this alpha male thing, but more of this mother thing, where the return is your baby gets stronger. We don't treat the world as a prey, but as a baby. Getting a little off track there, getting more into that later. So, but the important thing to understand with oppressive control memories is that it's a way for alpha predator males to spread genes better by securing scarce resources and mates. And these oppressive control memories are gotten through oppression. They oppress the system to get the oppressive control memories, to get the scarce resources and mates, to replicate maximally. Okay, so these oppressive control memories form a network of memories within multiple animals, which controls a group or others outside the group. It's what I call oppressive control memory networks. These alpha predator male interests of the oppressive control memories and sex and sadism and other predatory emotions are what I term alpha predator male utility. I call them a couple things. You can call them alpha predator male utility, patriarchal utility, macro patriarchal utility, if it includes money and possessions. Yeah. Um, this alpha predator male is like a small scale, more animalistic, whereas macro alpha predator male is more like large scale human alpha predator male activities. So, but they're the same. It's a continuation of it. It's not just territory and possessions, or territory and dominance hierarchies. It's possessions and money. But these are all points, alpha predator male points, patriarchal points, And these are what the agency perceives as valuable because it helps maximize the number of genetic replications of mid and alpha state. So these points are subroutines. Reaching these points, these alpha predator male points, patriarchal points, they're subroutines the mind has learned to help achieve the main male mating routine. Such perceived utility enables the agency to reach the primary mating strategy of males, which is maximizing the number of genetic replications. But the context in which these adaptations were evolved, this is important to note in our society, or more advanced society, has dramatically changed. Our context has dramatically changed since the times of great scarcity, great oppression, making these adaptations obsolete, worse really, self-destructive. They're inhibiting adaptations to the development of civilization. It's not, and it's important to note also, it's not that an agency is alpha predator male or familial. It's more like a continuum where, if you can think of, like, I think it was 300, like the earliest human now they think is about 300,000 years old. And it starts from there, and it's kind of alpha predator male, but a little bit more egalitarian. And then the agricultural revolution hits, and you got slavery and genocide, and it just gets really, it get this like this continuum. They get very alpha predator. They get macro alpha predator male, and then this is the end where we're at now, and it just keeps kind of going up and up and up, and then it kind of goes down because democracy comes, and then democracy starts getting re-corrupted, and it comes back, and eventually, they learn that these instincts are wrong, and then it goes back down. This kind of continuum of being more familial or more alpha predator male. Excuse me. Depending on how many alpha predator male or familial adaptations are currently actualized or more active in the system of the mind. So is it sadism more active in the mind, or is it forgiveness? Is it more hate, or is it more love? Is it greed, or more selflessness? And often it's a mixture of these things. Sometimes they're more forgiving, but sometimes they may be more greedy. And they can't help that. They just need greedy people, sadistic, hate. They're just sick. And I don't want to say even people that are sick with the hate and greed and sadism, and they just need help. And we all get in that state when we don't receive help, when we're alone, and we get hurt, we feel hate, and we need others to help us not feel that hate. We need love and forgiveness. So we're all vulnerable to this sickness when we're alone and when we're not cared for, and we ought to all help each other and care for each other so we don't succumb to these sicknesses. Alpha predator male agency. Now we'll get into more of the example here, and a little more into it. We'll repeat some stuff just because it needs to be repeated. We have chimpanzees, for example, alpha males, an alpha male group. Yes, the main routine is to maximize the number of genetic replications, because I might have went into that. Yeah, and I think I did in the other one with animal groups. Yeah, I did the last video. So we understand that males' mating routine is to maximize the number of genetic replications, and the females is to maximize the health generally. And through both of them working together, they maximize the number of healthy replications. But however, when you get into certain groups, if depending on their male dominated or female dominated, which it determines which routine will dominate or be the primary routine of that group. So if a female is leading if it's a female-led group, usually it's the health of the replication that is the primary routine to which is uh, uh, solved for and adapted to, structured their groups around. Whereas if it's a male, then it's more about maximizing the number of genetic replications and forming your strategies around that. So, got a big old helicopter here. Always give them peace sign. So they know we love them. You know. So, yeah. So the chimpanzees are structured around that main male mating routine of maximizing the number of genetic replications, and therefore their group is going to be organized or more around this. They have to secure the alpha male and alpha state uh, uh, has to secure mates and scarce resources for energy to reach this main routine. They do this, the main routine of maximizing the number of genetic replications. They do this uh, by growing what I call, as I've said, oppressive control memories. Um, so that's a big thing, and of course, pursuing sex. In the case of chimpanzee, their main oppressive control memories seems to be territory and dominance hierarchy positions. Territory is done through oppression. They oppress into other chimps and animals' minds that they own the territory. Dominance hierarchy uh, uh, is a mix of oppression and social skills to get in to rank up. So it's all just memories that help secure scarce resources and mates. So the oppressive control memories and what these chimpanzee groups mainly concern themselves with are just these memories. Excuse me, sorry, but they're just memories to secure the scarce resources and mates to maximize the number of genetic replications. So yes, in the case of humans, on top of this, you also get money as well. As I said, yeah, I kind of did already said that. Both the oppressive control memories, such as territory and positions in dominance hierarchies, the money is, and both allow them to control scarce resources of the economy, and really not just scarce, because sometimes they're in abundance, and even though they're in abundance, because it's like he still hoards it. It's almost like a dog. You give two dogs two food bowls and you have plenty of food for both of them. Like, this is the agricultural revolution, and yet one dog pushes the other dog out and eats all the food. It makes sense from his genes perspective. His genes aren't really adapted to live with abundance. He's adapted to live with scarcity, and so he does this kind of stuff. Yes. So those oppressive control memories allow them to control resources of the economy. Okay, alpha predator male arousal system. 50 Shades. So the alpha predator male in humans and macro alpha predator male agency has its own arousal system. 50 Shades of Grey, for example, find this guy, he doesn't know, it's like he finds the oppression of women as arousing, as dominating them, as kind of abusing them and making them submissive. He likes submissive women. So, and that doesn't, that just kind of gives us an insight to how. I'm not trying to criticize him, or I shouldn't say submissive women, I should say more mind states that are more submissive, of women. because this is, he wants an abuse victim, basically. He wants an abuse victim that he can kind of push around, and he finds it arousing to abuse them. And, and that's kind of like the whole history of humanity. It's like men are kind of these abusers, and they're delusional about it. No one realizes it. And they have all these kind of abuse victims. And women are this beta prey female agency I'll get into later a little bit more, but they're this kind of abuse victim that has been evolved to deal with their abuse. It's not, if a man puts his hand on your knee or whatever, and it's kind of aggressive to you, you're just, the beta prey female is just there to, I'm just going to sit here and take it. I'm just going to sit here and take it. That's what I've been doing for 7,000 years of man's large scale society, of him just abusing me. I'm just going to continue to take it, and they can't help it. They can't help but abuse, and the women can't help but be like kind of in this psychological slave abuse victim mind state where they don't stick up for themselves. Okay, the ones that stuck up for themselves are dead. We'll get to that a little more later. It's really sad, Look good. Malala, they're just or most of them are dead, A lot of them die, and this is just kind of the beta prey female agency that survives this abuse. So there's also familial control memories, such as love, which is a two-way control, meaning both people involved control each other, like a wife and a husband loving each other and being able to control each other in hopefully healthy ways through this love. So it can be a mutually synergistic, health-promoting control of each other. This kind of familial control memories, and as in opposition to these oppressive control memories, whereas they are a one-way control. Often in a hierarchy, someone communicates orders down the hierarchy, often in an aggressive way, and the beta is carried out. This is almost always degrading to the system's health. So alpha predator male agency is centered around sex and oppressively controlling the system with oppressive control memories to control resources, all to help maximize the number of genetic replications for a male in alpha state. The genes are using the organisms as a vehicle to replicate themselves. Evolution adds and subtracts adaptations onto this vehicle, which make the vehicle move in better ways to replicate. And a very oppressive set of motions on this vehicle emerge to help the genes replicate. This type of oppressive alpha predator male agency, or something similar to it, is pretty much ubiquitous through the biosphere. It seems to be the main sickness humanity faces, the pursuit of growing oppressive control memory networks, mass sex, and sadism are the main sources of what many would call evil, which are just these old instincts, these old alpha predator male instincts that are very normal in the biosphere. It's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. It's the byproduct of hundreds of millions of years of evolution in an environment of scarcity and oppression. Evil isn't an abnormality. It's an adaptation that is no longer adaptive. And it's not like alpha predator male agency is consciously trying to spread its genes. There's these emotional bonds that drive it to perform the necessary behaviors to spread their genes. It's not some lost soul guy, of today, modern age. We love them. These poor men of this age. This poor guy's not trying to, when he does the new age 3-date rule, it's insane, where you embed a woman on the 3rd date to spread his genes. He's not doing it to spread his genes. He's not thinking, man, I'm going to go on this date 3 times and then spread my genes, woo. He's not doing that. He's just doing it because there's an adaptation of his mind. His vehicle is this computer is doing it, which uh, then subconsciously helps spread his genes. So alpha predator male agency isn't just I need to spread my genes. I need to spread my genes. It's more like I need to do. The mind evolves all these things it wants to do that it doesn't realize spreads its genes, and all these things it wants to do actually destroys itself. It's unhealthy. It's betting a woman on the third date. No, you're going to be one of like the other hundreds of thousands of people that end up in divorce. You're not, but it feels good because that spreads your genes. Just like being just like greed. You know, having a bunch of money isn't going to do anything good for the health of the system. It's just there to spread your genes. You're just doing that to spread your genes. Same thing with territory, possessions, etc. And they're a mass consolidation. So the alpha predator male agency doesn't realize it's trying to spread its genes, but it has all these kind of instincts that guide it to subconsciously spread its genes. But these adaptations in his mind that cause him to do all these things to unconsciously spread his genes, those adaptations, those mental variables, those mental adaptations can be overcome with new adaptations, with these more familial adaptations, where it's not just about getting the sex and getting the sadism, the greed. It's more about restraint, more about hugging things and kissing things and holding things, not because we want to have, just about sex or whatever. It's about helping things be a family. And you're kneading on my really nice jacket, but he doesn't know. And no, sorry. He needs brush pretty bad, but it's about activating that familial